The Volkswagen RCD330 is a plug-and-play head unit for older Volkswagen models, including Seat and Skoda for my international viewers, that offers Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth audio, and rear-view camera support for only around $300. Compare that to radio systems that can cost over $1,000. Not only does this add functionality to older cars, but it gives them a visual update, bringing timeless interiors into the modern day. Almost 4 years ago, I created an in-depth tutorial video talking about not only the installation process, but also the many types of submodels that exist of this radio and where to get them from. I also want to extend a massive thanks to everyone who has watched that video. I never expected it to get to that many people, so thank you so much. Because of the incredible support from that video, I figured it was time to make an update. Over the last few years, the market for RCD330s has not changed significantly, but in this video, I want to update people who might be interested in getting one about how reliable it's been from my experience. First, let's talk sound quality. This is one of the greatest concerns that RCD330 users have pointed out, so I think it's worth addressing. If you're coming from an RCD310, which is your base model Volkswagen radio, you won't notice much of a difference. The sound quality is slightly worse, but people who aren't audiophiles won't really notice. And for me, the ability to easily access and control my music makes the small trade-off totally worth it. However, if you get in, for example, a brand new 2024 Volkswagen with a Beats Audio or Harman Kardon sound system, you'll notice that this sounds a bit mushier. But I think it's a given that nicer sound systems will make the difference seem more significant. Even I didn't really notice initially. I can't comment on RCD330 installations with the factory Dyne Audio or Fender sound systems installed, since I don't personally have those options. However, if you are seeking audiophile grade sound quality, I want to briefly discuss alternatives for people seeking a fancier head unit and overall sound setup. First, aftermarket head units from well-known brands like Sony or Alpine are relatively easy to install in our cars with the right kits. While they're only slightly more expensive on the low end, they won't look stock. And for the most part, lower-end models will actually feature slower, resistive touchscreens unlike this capacitive one, but at least you'll have the sound quality you want. If you want the best of both here, there is one more option. There is an OEM head unit that provides both CarPlay and good sound quality. Enter the MIB2 PQ. This was Volkswagen's US spec CarPlay unit that was optioned on older VWs from 2016 to about 2021 with the discontinuation of the US spec Passat. It's got extra features like a CD player and XM/DAB, though the screen is actually smaller than the head unit I'm looking at today. The only downside is that it is expensive and more challenging to install. Initially, lots of coding, component protection removal, and rewiring was required to get this into pre-2016 vehicles. Luckily, a website I discovered a few years ago by the name of Eurozone Tuning has a kit to install it, and while it does make an otherwise daunting task much easier, the kit alone costs over $1,000 to install. It has come down in price about $500 in 4 years, but it's still hard to justify this one for me. If you have like a GLI or a much nicer older Volkswagen, this might actually make sense for you. I actually considered getting this prior to getting my RCD330, but the extra $700 in price didn't make sense to me, given I was only going to use CarPlay anyways. If you do want to see an in-depth tour of the MIB2 in an older Volkswagen, check out my 2016 Volkswagen Passat review, which I have linked below, and go to the 354 timestamp. It is important to consider that these alternative options are not 100% plug-and-play. Yet another reason why the RCD330 is a fantastic value proposition. Back to the RCD330, let's talk some basic specifications. It has a 6.5-inch color capacitive touchscreen, and while I'm not sure on resolution, it's perfect for driving. It's smooth and fantastic to use since it runs a Linux-based operating system. In fact, I have issues with lag in almost every other car I look at, except this one. It's so fluid. Plus, it's even got fully physical controls and knobs. Starting on the left, you have radio and media buttons. Radio displays FM radio, though sadly, it doesn't show station information. I also accidentally broke the included FM antenna adapter during my previous installation video, but I chose to leave it since I don't listen to FM. Media is where you'll go for Bluetooth audio, SD card, aux, and USB. It works basically just like a brand new 2024 Volkswagen's infotainment, and that's the theme with this head unit. One thing we don't have though is a car button, which would give you access to things like vehicle settings. On our older PQ platform cars, these settings are typically configured in the gauge cluster, so I don't mind this exclusion. Bluetooth pairing is incredibly simple, and it's much more intelligent than the base model radios. You can see song information, use the steering wheel controls to control your Bluetooth, and even customize your car's Bluetooth name. The ability to pair more than one device to the system is the biggest benefit. For example, multiple people may share the car and might want to each play their own music at different times. And while this is a given feature on modern cars, it feels like a luxury when you upgrade from the base radio on a Volkswagen. The only downside is that Bluetooth just doesn't show album covers. And right beneath the media button is a clever blank switch that doubles as a built-in microphone for functions like Siri for CarPlay or Google Assistant for Android Auto. To the right of the screen, we have 3 more buttons: Phone, App, and Setup. Pressing Phone will take you to a screen showing your favorite contacts on your paired smartphone. Phone calls can easily be made over a Bluetooth connection, but the reason you want the RCD330 is for the App button. Clicking on this will prompt you to connect the device using the front-mounted USB port, and this can be a drawback for some potential buyers, but it's well worth it to me. Spending an extra $700 just to hide my USB port just doesn't make much sense. Anyways, once you plug your iPhone or Android smartphone in, it connects almost instantly. Once you're in, it'll start playing whatever music you had queued up. I don't have an Android phone, so I'll quickly demonstrate CarPlay. It's basically your iPhone interface neatly projected in a safe-to-use fashion, so it includes maps, music, phone, messages, and a pretty cool split view page showing your chosen map app and music. This also supports third-party apps like Google Maps, Waze, and even Spotify. One of the best parts for me is being able to control CarPlay with the dial on the right. Perfect for when you can't look at the screen. You can also use your volume and back and next buttons on the steering wheel, and it'll respond no matter where you are in the CarPlay screen. A really cool touch is if your car had the voice command feature from new, that button is now used to activate Siri or Google Assistant. I don't use this feature at all, but it's a neat integration. At least it works better than the Volkswagen voice command system on newer cars. Paging through screens, pressing on buttons, and simply navigating CarPlay is a breeze. I've almost never had any lag while using this over 4 years. There is one little thing I want to comment on though. Whenever I accelerate, change fan speed on my AC system, or basically do anything that requires a surge of power, the head unit audio will cut out or delay for maybe a quarter of a second. It's really not a big deal, but something worth pointing out. This usually happens toward the beginning of a drive, but goes away during the drive. Finally, there is the setup button. In here, you customize all of your head unit specific settings, including the sound balance and fader. While it is incredibly basic, it is fun to adjust the bass all the way up and really just customize the head unit. The fader is self-explanatory, but once again, it makes you feel like you're in a brand new Volkswagen minus those annoying capacitive buttons. You really get the best of both here. In here, you can customize little things like your touchscreen tones, speed-dependent volume increase, and what is displayed when turned off, which can either be an analog clock or nothing at all. Next is the rear view camera function. I don't have a rear view camera, so based off of my research, I can retrofit a cheaper grade camera to this head unit since it comes equipped with a video adapter. However, I find that it would be difficult to retrofit an OEM rear view camera without spending hundreds of dollars, so I decided to pass. When I put the car into reverse, it'll try to display video before giving me an error message. I didn't bother with coding this out since it only shows up once or twice during a drive. Not a big deal once again, but you can retrofit a cheaper camera if you choose. And best of all of the ports are still good on this head unit. I park my vehicle outside year-round, with temperatures ranging from 0 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but everything works flawlessly after nearly 4 years. I think it's needless to say that the RCD330 is a good investment no matter what kind of old Volkswagen you have. Again, I highly recommend checking out my tutorial video showcasing compatible cars, different part numbers, and the full installation of this radio. Getting plug-and-play CarPlay and Android Auto, even if it's with a wired connection, for $300 is pretty hard to beat in this economy. And on that note, I hope you guys consider getting one of these for your Volkswagen. I also hope you guys learned something new. If you want to see more radio or infotainment specific videos, please let me know. I'd love to go in depth on some other manufacturers' infotainment systems and see how easy to use they are. But no matter how easy to use your car radio is, I hope that you guys drive safe. Thank you so much for watching.